my really great pleasure to introduce you now Carrie from Food Troops Community Interest Company. She's going to tell you all about her amazing work that was set up in 2019.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave her to talk because you want to hear it from her.
Amazing. Thank you, Alison, for the introduction. Can't help feel a bit of imposter syndrome being here against all these amazing, wonderful doctors and experienced people. But yeah, here I am. I'm Carrie. I'm the founder of community interest company Food Troops. So I thought I'll give you just a background as to my journey and how the company has evolved in the first few years. So our ethos, we're on a mission to provide food and food education to those in need through educational programs and different products and services. Our mission is to boost the overall number of vegetables in our diet, redistribute surplus food, improving the health and well-being of our people and the planet. We have a vision of a sustainable food system built to nourish and empower everyone to achieve their maximum well-being. So my interest in boosting health and well-being through food began when I was a mother, and I became a mother in 2012. Following a carefree, socially focused lifestyle, eating processed foods and pot noodles and midnight kebabs. After a night out, I became pregnant with my son. I can't explain the ineffable feeling I had when my son was born, and his bright wide eyes looking up at me, just felt overwhelmed with love, but also fear and the intense feeling of like responsibility that I wanted to do everything right by him. And so yeah, just the overwhelming feeling that it was time to grow up. As he began to wean alongside breast milk, I was committed to offering him a healthy whole food diet. I became vegetarian, and back then it wasn't as easy to buy vegan foods off the shelves, so I taught myself to cook. I became obsessed with healthy foods and finding creative ways to get him to eat it and feed my family at home, to encourage him to eat a variety of fruit and vegetables. So much so that I took it to university. I studied food science and often would have modules working alongside meat processing plants and local farmers that I felt like the opposition. I took a strong vegan stance by the end, having focused my studies on the ethical, moral, environmental impacts of Western diets as a whole and just our food system in general. So just some stats, there's some insane amount of stats out there around obesity, diet-related diseases, and as well as food waste as well. So in 2020, 2 billion children here in the UK went hungry. At the same time, 6.7 million tonnes of food went to waste. Half of all fruits and vegetables produced here in the EU are thrown out directly, wasted, so uneaten. So it's just an insane amount of food and waste going on when other people are hungry. So inspired by quotes like this, I was determined to have an impact in these areas and build a worthwhile career attacking these issues and inspiring my children as well. So alongside giving birth to and raising 3 more children, I continued my degree and finally graduated with a degree in bioscience in 2020, the same year my 4th child was born. During my final year of university, for my dissertation, we ran cookery classes in schools. So the title of my dissertation was Testing Children's Perceptions Towards Vegetables After they learn to grow, prepare and explore them with their senses. And there was lots of evidence to suggest that an increase in vegetables in many children's diets was needed, with 1 in 5 children being overweight here in the UK by the time they leave school. It seems that having children explore fruits and vegetables without the pressure to eat them was a really good way to boost their nutritional intake overall. So I began running cookery classes, these are my children, in the local community centre, and events and festivals and schools as well. And then so that was towards the end of 2019, just before lockdown hit. So as lockdown hit, I stopped doing my cookery classes and became a food waste collector from the local supermarkets and the Gleaning Network, and was just shocked at the sheer amount of food waste that we were collecting. bags and bags of waste just from the local co-op to local Aldi and from the gleaning. This was just one day from 2 different shops. There was a lot. There's a lot. So we started getting that, and I didn't have a venue at the time, so I was delivering it out in Redroof in my local area out of my van. And so yeah, it seemed a no-brainer to sort of take this food waste and then use it for my cooking classes and to provide free food parcels for people in need as well. So yeah, that's the timeline. That's what went on so far. So as lockdown hit, after I started distributing the surplus food, I turned the cooking classes into boxes and then posted those out. So as lockdown was lifted, I needed a venue. I needed a venue where I could continue doing my classes and also distribute the food from as well, because my house was just taking over with croissants. And yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah, during what was a difficult year for me, huge changes occurred in my personal life. I got the keys to this beautiful space in Victoria Park in Redroof in 2022 in January. It's a bright classroom with a kitchen and an outdoor space complete with polytunnels and space to grow our own food as well. So with insecure housing and finding my feet as a single mother of 4, living on the edge of poverty line, with my own mental health struggles, I've had to let go of the reins slightly of the organisation, and all the pre-planning and the expectations that I had for the business kind of just had to let go and trust that it was still going to be a successful business and actually run smoothly with the more people and ideas that I let in. And if anything, prove that the company really is set up in the interest of the community. So it wasn't long before I met others that were coming along, and they're in similar positions to me, insecure housing and relationships and everything else, and realised that my personal issues were not just my own. And the more open I was about my struggles, the more others felt they could open up as well. And we really just created a safe space where we no longer felt stigmatized by our situation, and felt like we wanted to create lasting change to the system as a whole. So we're 1 year into the journey. In this year, we've intentionally started slow. We've had slow growth, people slowly becoming aware of us. We've opened the doors to local people of all ages and backgrounds from the community in need of food, as well as brought people together through cooking and growing, inspiring people to take their newfound skills or their new love for a new vegetable home to their own kitchen, to their own families, in turn boosting physical and mental health. We open on a Monday and a Tuesday in Victoria Park in Redroof. We run pay-as-you-feel family foodie fun workshops on a Monday, on the first Monday of the month, and gardening and permaculture club on a Tuesday. Really proud of our achievements. So grateful to have met the people I have in the last year. Coming out of the post-lockdown isolation, severe loneliness and isolation and mental health struggles that we've all had to face with, and struggles associated with poverty as a whole. It's brought a real sense of the true meaning of community and collaboration. It's been amazing. Witnessed great friendships formed and seen really like people really come out of their shell as a result. It's also sort of empowering people to come and take the food, but not feel like they're a charity case, but actually feel like they're giving back as well. I think that's a really key part of the 5 ways to wellbeing, that actually people feel like they've got meaning, they've got a new meaning to their life. And also sort of learning life skills around cooking and gardening sort of allow them to feel sovereign and in control. And I can personally vouch for that as well. So moving forward, as we move on, we hope to sort of set up more cookery classes and also bring in more sort of other practices, holistic health practices around food and nutritional well-being. Welcoming tutors in herbalism and Eastern traditions, and run foraging classes and things like that as well. Prevent financial status from being a barrier to eating healthy. Hope to bring in more volunteers and leaders in the area of permaculture, with both a social and environmental focus, and collaborate with other organisations that share our ethos, and run talks and educational workshops demonstrating other alternatives from being super dependent on supermarkets as well as the overly stretched NHS, and teach people there are other ways of thriving without being dependent on these. And that's really what we hope to do, and then create lasting change to the health and well-being of us, our people and our planet as a whole. Thank you for listening. That's where we're at, and open to any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Carrie?
Yeah, open to it. Hiya.
I have a question. Awesome.
Thank you.
That's not a question. That's an exclamation.
Thank you.
Sort of working with the local farm action group, trying to get things like this off the ground. It just takes such a tremendous amount of energy. I'm really touched by what you've achieved.
Thank you.
And I'm just wondering, have you had any funding for that? Have you got managed to get any sort of grants or
Yeah.
anything?
At the beginning, I ran a crowdfunder, which was really successful. People really sort of chipped in, and then we got it match funded by Cornwall Council. So really lucky in that sense. I think my realization is actually applying for grants and stuff is really, really quite hard, and that's like a full-time job in itself. So moving forward, I hope to find someone that can actually just be in charge of writing the grants and sending off the applications for that. Also, not to be dependent on grants. And I think in my past year of opening has actually realised that let's just strip it back to the bare minimum as what it can be, and not be dependent on money, but have other ways of having it run. So people inputting energy in, not just money, but energy in it's like exchange of energy and food. We have the food, we have the people, and just sort of keep it running without the need for money. Really, that's where we're at. But some money would be nice.